Hello everybody, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, whatever time you're tuning into this video, just make sure that it is good. My name is Game Boy Rob, and today I thought we'd do something a little bit different. I thought we would do something a little fun and fancy free. Today is the day of the patch. It's a little tiny patch, right? They added a couple new features. I think there's a profile type thing coming in. There's a new timer in the games, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, which is pretty cool, like a new turn timer, which is neat. But what we're going to talk about today is the new lab, Heimerdinger's new lab, Recursive Heroes 101. I thought this would be a good time to do a lab video. This is a lab format in which you can build your own decks and try out different strategies and do stuff, and I thought I would do my impression, my idea for conquering this lab. So what is this lab? This lab is it's called Recursive Heroes 101. You make a singleton deck with only one champion in it, right? So which means you can only have one copy of one champion in your deck, and you can only have that champion. However, your champion will always start in your hand. So you're always going to have this one champion in your deck at the beginning. When it is killed, it becomes imprisoned in a landmark on your side of the field that spawns in its place. A jailer will then spawn on your opponent's side of the board as your champion is imprisoned. If you kill your opponent's jailer, your champion will revive next round. So this is really cool. This has a lot of freedom. There's a lot of really interesting stuff to go along with this, and I'll talk more about it. But first, I'd like to show my first impression, my first idea for a deck designed around this, and that is a Teemo deck. Now, we can only have one champion, but we're always going to have that champion available, right? And we're going to have it on turn one. Now, what champion, out of all the champions in the game, what champion is it best to have on turn one? That'd be a one-cost champion. That would be Teemo. We could also do Fizz, but I thought Teemo would be a bit more exciting. So let's take a look. Now again, this is a singleton deck, which means we can only have one copy of every card in our deck, right? So we have a ton of one-ofs. Also, since it's a singleton deck, we can actually have 3 regions. That's part of the rules of singleton, is it allows you to have 3 different regions in your deck instead of the standard 2. So we are going with, since it's Teemo does best with lots of mushrooms in your opponent's deck, and he does great with, where is he? The Puffcat Peddler. And so generally when you build a Teemo deck, you want to have ways of casting spells so that Puffcat Peddler can get lots of mushrooms in your opponent's deck. And so they are often paired with Freljord so that you can also have Starlit Seer in your deck, because he also likes to cast spells. There's a very popular Teemo Sejuani list, not in the meta, but in standard. It's been around a while and it's pretty fun, and it's not terrible. I mean, it's not competitive. It's not like tier 1. It's like tier 2 or tier 3. And it runs Starlit Seer and Puffcat Peddler, and it's a decent deck, right? So we're trying to do something along those lines. However, we can only have one copy of Starlit Seer and one copy of Puffcat Peddler. So we can't really build a deck entirely around them, because we aren't going to have them all the time in our hands. So we do have a lot of spells to synergize with those two, but we also have, let's see if I can find it. We also have things like Funsmith, because we are going to have a lot of damage dealing spells, and she just synergizes with that. We're also going to have Insightful Investigator and Tribeam Improbulator. If we take a look at our curve, we have a ton of 2-cost cards and a fair amount of 3-cost cards as well. So we're gonna try to pump up our Tribeams if our one Tribeam, if it shows up in our opening hand. And if we find our Insightful Investigator, we should have no trouble getting value out of her either. Now, in addition to that, this is, as I've mentioned, a singleton deck. We can only have one copy of every card, and since we're already running Piltover and Zahn, this is a natural deck for Von Yip, for Pursuit of Perfection, and Submersible. Obviously, since we're going to be playing lots of cards with different names, it'll be super easy to get Submersible, and well, not super easy, but not difficult to enable the Pursuit of Perfection either. These are just great cards to run in a singleton deck. They want to be run in a singleton deck, so we're running them in this singleton deck, right? Now, I'm not gonna go through every single card I put in here because there's lots and lots of you know, just one-ofs that just are sort of good cards, so they're in here because they're good. However, something I would like to talk about for this strategy is the mechanics of the lab we're going into. So when if Teemo were to die, he will be replaced by a landmark that sort of captures him on our side of the board. And then when that landmark is on our side of the board, our opponent will get a jailer, a unit that if we kill, Teemo comes back at the start of next turn. He doesn't come back immediately. He comes back at the next start of turn. So the other thing that the game doesn't tell you this until you get in and you try it and you practice it. The jailer, the unit that your opponent gets that you have to kill, is a 0x. It is a 0 attack with a varying health stat unit with vulnerable, and the X, the health stat, is dependent on the cost of your champion. And this is really interesting, which means that if we're running like an expensive champion, like let's say Gangplank, a 5-mana champion, that means that when Gangplank dies, he gets captured, and then the opponent gets a jailer, a 0/5 vulnerable jailer with 5 health. Now, Teemo only costs 1, which means that if Teemo dies, our opponent gets a 0/1 vulnerable unit, and all we have to do to get Teemo back is deal 1 damage to that vulnerable unit. So we have a ton of ways of dealing 1 damage very effectively. We have 1 copy of Go Hard, which could, you know, translate to multiple copies of Go Hard. This is not a Go Hard deck by any means, by the way. This is not a deck that is like trying to get pack your bags because it's a singleton deck. That's almost never going to happen. But we're running 1 Go Hard for that reason, right? Because it's an easy way to kill the jailer and get our Teemo back. We are also running, this is actually the reason we're running Shadow Isles in addition to Freljord and Piltover and Zon, is because there's lots of ways in Shadow Isles to deal 1 damage to another unit. We're running both Unspeakable Horror and Vile Feast and Go Hard. We're also running a one-off, well, obviously a one-off of Withering Wail. We're running a Static Shock. We're running a Mystic Shot. We're running a ton of things that can deal 1. And that's why, right? We're also running, since this is a deck with a ton of spells, we're running a 1 Assembly Bot to synergize with that spells. And yeah, that's the basic concept behind the deck right there, is to get Teemo out on turn 1, and you will always get Teemo out on turn 1 in this mode. And then from there, whenever he dies, we're just gonna get him back super easily. So I think if I try to explain anything more, it'll just be confusing if you haven't already gone and played the lab. So I think we're just gonna jump into the lab. I'll show you guys what the heck is going on, and let me know if this is the kind of content you guys want to see. If you like labs and coming up with ideas for labs and stuff, let me know. If you just want me to go back to like building standard decks and tutorializing, you know, meta decks and that sort of thing, let me know. Feel free to comment. But yeah, for now, I'm gonna jump into a match, and we'll see what is we'll see how this performs. So yeah, here we go. Oh, iron. Is that iron? Wow, someone's rocking their iron emblem there. Nice. Proud. All right, so Pursuit of Perfection, by the way, needs you to play 20 cards with different names, so obviously we don't want this in our opening hand. We don't want this either. For some reason, you don't get a lot of time to make your decisions in the opening mulligan in this format. I don't know if that's a bug or what. It is strange.
Another day in the field.
There are a couple bugs in this lab. This is day 1. I'm recording this the day that this lab became available. So there might be some weird shenanigans, and I'll talk about them as they come up. One thing to note is that the game says singleton. The game says you have to make a singleton deck, which means 1 copy of every card. But it seems to be allowing you to play any deck that has only one champion in it, and like you can have multiple copies of other cards in your deck, at least right now. Like at the time of me making this video, that is what the deck, that's what the lab mode is accepting. But our deck is we're being honest about it, you know. We're playing in the spirit of the mode. So if I go up against someone who has who plays like multiple Fleet Feathers and multiple Warships or whatever, know that that's kind of a bug and it's not supposed to be happening. So with that in mind, let's talk about what just happened here. So my opponent got out a challenger unit, killed my Teemo, and now I have a jailed Teemo, right? And a 0/1 jailer who says, when I'm summoned, set my health to the opponent champion cost. Which means that all I have to do to get my Teemo back is deal 1 damage to this jailer. And then Teemo will come back. He won't come back immediately. He'll come back at the start of the next turn. Which means that like if I were to kill this right now, Teemo would come back at the start of my next turn, and that's not terribly helpful, right? Having Teemo on a turn where you don't have an attack token isn't the best thing in the world, so we're actually going to play the Trapper this turn. I could go for the Static Shock and kill these two and get Teemo back and all that. Or I could play Trapper, and in addition to that, we don't have to burn this down with spells. We can, if we want, kill it like this, right? And I think I'm fine with that. So Teemo is going to come back at the start of my next turn.
Remember the fall.
Ah, that's a good idea. That's a neat concept. Since that jailer is going to be dying all the time, it's nice to have the something that synergizes with deaths. I wonder if my opponent didn't know that you could have 3 regions. Looks like our opponent is just doing a pretty stock standard scouts type of list. I imagine this fortune will be coming down.
I'm one of the good guys.
Very shortly. So we have a black spear in our hand, right? Which I would like to use. I imagine he's gonna pull Teemo with the bird again. And that'll give us a good opportunity to black spear this misfortune, so I think I'm gonna go for the Stalking Shadows right now. Ooh, and I do like a second Yeti. Why not? Why the heck not?
It can't be. Hand to the face.
All right, so I imagine there goes Teemo. But we're gonna respond by killing Misfortune. I don't know why he's attacking with this Warships. Probably because he wants his bird to survive. He probably doesn't realize that he doesn't need to do that. Actually, going to block like that. I want to preserve the health on the Yeti. Alright, so Teemo dies again. But we're gonna kill Misfortune in response. So now he has to deal 3 damage to his jailer because Misfortune costs 3 mana, right? Okay. Now we see a Cursed Keeper.
Hot on the trail.
I'm just gonna attack like this. Alright, Teemo will be coming back at the start of our next turn. I do have an ephemeral enraged Yeti that I don't think I want to play right now. I probably will play Insightful Investigator this turn. And since we have a 2-cost card in our hand, wow, next turn we'll be able to use that. Alright, Great Horn Companion.
Subterfuge, hidden clues, it's all here.
Alright, we're gonna end round. Alright, Submersible already is almost ready to go. Yep, he's gonna take down my jailer. Makes sense, makes sense. And I really need to take down this bird. This bird is getting free kills on my Teemo over and over again, and we need to put a stop to that. So we're gonna go for the Static Shock.
Follow my lead.
Oh, well, that doesn't work anymore. We were gonna go for the Static Shock. Now we'll have to figure something else out. I'm probably gonna play this Cursed Keeper. Something to keep in mind when playing this format is your board space. You need to always keep room on your board for both your champion and your jailer. If you have a full board and you have no jailer and you kill your opponent's champion, your jailer will come in and obliterate one of your units. I think it's the weakest unit, but it will come in and obliterate one of your units and replace it with this jailer. So you need to make sure that you have space for the jailer and space for your champion, kind of at all times.
We weren't expecting callers.
All right, so we're gonna get. I like this troll chant a lot because it's going to protect our Teemo. Well, I say that, but she's probably gonna pull Teemo here, so maybe not. This is rough. This is rough. Yeah, we can't protect Teemo from that. Something we could do here is troll chant on the jailer to protect it and stop Misfortune from coming out. I don't think that's exactly worth it right now, but we're gonna need to use this on something. So maybe it is. Now this is fleeting, so we may as well use it while we can.
The facts fall into place.
So now he has to attack this a second time. And Misfortune's just going to be a little slower on the level up. We don't really have room for this clump of wumps. I actually need to read this. If your opponent doesn't have a guard, kill me when I leave play. Okay, so I could play Clump of Wumps and like overwrite this jailer, but I'm pretty sure that would release Misfortune. So we're gonna let him kill it before we play the Clump of Wumps.
Their pride will cost them.
We'll see how our opponent handles this. It's a weird format. This is a really strange format, but I am enjoying it so far a lot. It's a nice break. I've been working really hard on ranking up and getting ready for the seasonal tournament and qualifying for the seasonal tournament. So this little side format is actually a nice little break from that. All right. Oh, we lost our insightful. I wasn't even paying attention at all. Probably should focus on the game a little bit here. Don't do your creepy laugh, Misfortune. She got out of jail and did a creepy laugh. I didn't like that. Whoa. Thanks, the game lagged a little bit there. That's fine.
We see through all.
We're gonna drop our Starlit Seer.
You're covered.
That's funny. I haven't seen that before. He gave a barrier to the jailer. Oh god, I love Legends of Runeterra, man. It's so silly sometimes. Now our board space is pretty full. This is just a visual bug. There is still a Teemo in here, I promise. I think the game lagged and now there's like a visual bug on my landmark here.
My shield is
Okay,
yours.
he's also protecting his. See, this is cheating. This is cheating. My opponent should not be able to have 2 of this card in his deck. The fact that he does is not ideal. Nothing we can do about it. We're playing in the spirit of the lab, but obviously I can't control my opponents. Oops, this goes here, please.
Hot on the trail.
We'll attack like that for now, I think. Oh, there's a new timer system, by the way. I was going to talk about this. So the way it works you can't just rope because you want to anymore. You have to earn them. That little red bar, I think, this is the way I understand it, and I could be wrong. But as far as I understand, this little red bar, you don't get it automatically. If you run out of time, you kind of just run out of time. Or that bar comes out much faster. This section right here that you're seeing me, like where you don't see a red bar, you just skip through that if you haven't earned the time yet. So I passed and I banked all my extra time. So now on my future turns, I will have more time to think, right? Until I burn that time. Then I have to bank it again. So like if you ever see a red bar on my screen and I start burning down and I pass, the turn after that, I won't have a lot of time left. I'll have to pass quickly again in order to bank the time again. And then I'll be able to have that red rope. Essentially, you can't get a full red bar of time 2 turns in a row. You have to burn it once and then pass without seeing the bar to bank the time. And then on the second one, then you can go back to banking. Okay. I think this is his second Genevieve too. Yeah, my opponent is full on cheating here. Not cool, dude. Not cool. We'll pass to start, I think. See what our opponent wants to do. Maybe we'll play a Mushroom Cloud or something. Yeah, we'll play a Mushroom Cloud. Just so our opponent doesn't pass back. I mean, if he passed back, that wouldn't be the end of the world, right? But we'll see how our opponent wants to deal with this.
Belong to us.
Okay, he's taking my Submersible. Makes sense, makes sense.
Over there.
I'm surprised he didn't pull this with one of his scout units. In fact, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we'll do that instead. We aren't able to really efficiently use any of our spells while Starlit Seer is out here, which is a shame.
I'm sorry.
We can't even kill this with Static Shock right now because it's buffed for the round, which is quite rude. We're gonna play our Ephemeral Yeti.
These stories were true.
See if our opponent wants to do anything about that. This might end his attack. Yeah. Get out of here.
My steel is yours.
Oh, he's attacking anyway. That's interesting. That's very interesting. I will gladly take down your moose. With pleasure, dude. Absolutely. Both of these cards are kind of completely useless right now, which is sad. So we'll block like that. We'll probably play this Sump Dredger and get rid of the Shared Spoils. Maybe. Maybe the Withering Whale is better. Since I know my opponent is just full on cheating and has whatever copies, multiple copies of whatever card he wants probably. Since we know that,
They never stop.
we're not going to... We're going to play around Ranger's Resolve. Normally, in a singleton format, you don't want to play around anything. You want to kind of just play to your own goal and try to build the best you can, because odds of them having any one card in their hand is unlikely. But since our opponent has whatever they want in their deck, apparently, we're gonna play around Ranger's Resolve. At least in so much as we can. I think this is a perfectly good time to open attack. We'll take that right there. I don't want his 3-2 to trade with my 4-3, but anything else I'm kind of fine with here. So we're gonna attack like that. And hopefully we can get towards this pursuit of perfection. We're actually pretty close. We are not far from this pursuit here. So yeah, we're gonna try to kill this jailer here. Get our Teemo back out next turn. All that good stuff.
Shield up.
As our opponent trades here. We're also probably going to grasp this misfortune. But again, Ranger's Resolve would make me sad. Okay, so he buffs the jailer so that it kills my... It actually... I don't know why he did that. That's not good enough. I'm gonna judge him. Give him the judge him valor. We'll click OK. That's fine. We'll click OK. Sword. Sump Dredger is alive. It's on 1 health, so it can't exactly block efficiently.
I've trained my whole
But yeah,
life.
this is the second time we've seen that Vanguard Redeemer too. Our opponent's cheating. Our opponent do be cheating though. We're actually gonna play this first, just to see what we draw. Ooh, we draw a chump one. Very nice. Then we'll do this. I'm doing this first because if he does have a Ranger's Resolve, he can no longer play around Grasp using it, and we know he just played. Yeah, you're cheating, bud. And we know he just played a Sharp Sight, so his odds of having that are low. So we're gonna go for Grasp here. He could have it. He could have a Sharp Sight. I don't know why he would use the Sharp Sight the way he did. That was really weird.
Flavor and spice.
Yeah, this is the second War Chefs too. He's played 3 Vanguard Redeemers, 2 War Chefs. Cheater, cheater, cheater. Okay, so that's good to know. Even though there was a visual bug on the landmark for Teemo there, he still came back out, so... Good stuff going on there. I think we'll play Chump Wump here.
Think I'm still like a yodel in uniform?
I can't remember if I actually played a Mushroom Cloud at any point. I did. Looks like I did. Yeah, I did play one, so this will not advance Pursuit. Okay, we'll pass here. See what our opponent wants to do.
Here we go.
I imagine he'll just kill this jailer kind of straight away. No surprises there. Again, he's not getting Misfortune back until next turn. So we're not worried about that. I think we're going to play this Mystic Shot probably here. And then we're going to play Chempunk, and then we'll be ready to go for a Pursuit next turn. And that should win us the game. So I'm just going to shoot this right here. But yeah, it's really weird trying to go wide in this format because Misfortune, or not Misfortune, because your champion and the jailer are always going to be sort of 2 slots that you have to keep there. So you can kind of only have 4 units at a time, not including your champion, right?
What you looking for?
All right. 20 out of 20. The cat is online. I repeat, the cat is online. We are ready.
We strike.
Yeah, okay, and he's attacking with everything, which is good for us because we need the board space. So we're gonna trade out kind of inefficiently here. There we go. Not on that one. We may as well block with this. There's really no reason not to. Since, you know, it's not like Teemo's gonna get in next turn or anything. So we may as well block with Teemo. Prevent a little bit of damage. It shouldn't matter. But it's almost like a free block, right? Because Teemo can't really die. Like, he dies and he goes into this thing.
Injustice.
But we can just get him back again, right? So it's kind of like you can actually kind of throw away your champion because you'll always be able to get it back, which is really interesting. An interesting consequence of this format, I guess I should say. All right, we're gonna start We're gonna start with the Zonite
Anything helps.
just to see if our opponent wants to play that last card. And then we'll kill him. We'll kill him with the Pursuit. We're gonna make a big...
The quiet of the woods.
GG.
There's nothing like it.
We're gonna make a big mech kitty. Your end is meow. Your end is meow. And we're gonna pull the small unit to deal maximum damage. GG. We beat the cheater. We beat the cheater. Oh, I think. Uh-oh. Oh, it glitched. Wow. Wow, we actually broke the game. Okay, so I guess I'll take this moment to talk about some of the bugs going on in this format. There are some bugs with this thing, the Jailer. And apparently this is one of them. There are times when your champion unit landmark thing, when your champion dies, this thing will spawn and it'll look like it's already unlocked. If that happens and then you kill the Jailer, this sort of glitch bug will happen where the game completely freezes. Apparently it happens when you win the game as well. I've never tried this before, but apparently if you kill the Jailer and get lethal, the game crashes. So there are a few bugs you might want to look out for. Yeah. Again, this format isn't ranked, so it's not like you're losing LP. It's not like the outcome of the match really matters. So I personally am totally fine with not receiving a win there. I'm in it for the fun of it, right? So with that in mind, let's do another one. All right. Going up against Princeling, who seems to be running the pre-built deck, right? The Gangplank Ionia pre-built deck that they give you in case you don't want to build your own deck. That, by the way, is the reason that the timer runs out so fast in your opening mulligan, is because you haven't banked any time yet. So look, I'm gonna play this Teemo, and I'm gonna get all that time banked, and you can see how much time you're banking in the little thing over there. I'm not gonna block. I'm not gonna block because this loses elusive. All right, you can see us banking some more time there, and we bank a ton because we passed really fast there. So on your opening turns, you're almost always going to bank a bunch of spell mana. Or not a bunch of spell mana, lol. You're almost always going to bank a bunch of time. And then later you'll have that rope. So what I'm trying to say here is I don't think this change will be hard. Basically, it won't even be noticeable to most of your games. If you're in a really intense game and you have to think about like every single action every single time, then this might start to matter because your turns are going to be shorter. But most of the time you won't even notice this change. This is going to affect tournaments, however. Tournament play actually might get really changed by this little change here. Because in tournaments, I don't know if you guys have been watching the Chronicles of Targon tournament currently going on the EU, but
Ready the torches.
they always, in tournaments, you're always like running down the timer. You're like psyching out your opponent. You don't want to play too fast and let your opponent know what kind of cards you have, or if you like, even if you have no cards that you can play, you don't want your opponent to know that, right? So even if you have nothing and you can't play a single card, like I can't right now, but I could bluff my opponent. I could make them think, hey, I have a 1 mana card and I'm thinking about using it, right? My opponent might think that I do now. Since I'm taking all this time and I'm not playing anything, they might think, oh, he has a 1 mana card and he's thinking about using it. I don't. But you could bluff that to your opponent. That kind of thing is going to be more difficult, and that kind of thing kind of only shows up in tournaments. So that's just something I thought I'd talk about, right? Something I find really interesting is how that's going to affect tournament play. But let's focus on the game again, shall we? So my opponent has an elusive unit, which is a bummer for me. Can't attack with Teemo. I'm going to try to kill it with the Static Shock with Funsmith. So I'm going to attack with this Curse Keeper. I doubt my opponent will block it. He might. I'd be totally fine if he does. If he wants to block this, he can be my guest. But I'm going to play the Funsmith this turn. which means next turn, this Static Shock will actually kill both of these, and that's really cool. Okay, my opponent wants to stun my Cursed Keeper with a Concussive Palm. Absolutely, bud. You go right ahead and do that. I've seen people do that before. I think it's because this
Give me a weapon, I'll give it firepower.
this deck, this GP Bilgewater Ionia deck is not very good. I saw someone else do that with the Concussive Palm, so I think they're just like, they have no units in their hand, and they just need the unit. Which is funny. You gotta build your own decks, kids. Never play with what Riot gives you, it's always trash.
I will play my part.
I will play my part. But yeah, I can actually just kill these both with Static Shock here, assuming my Funsmith survives, but I don't see how these regions will kill a Funsmith at full health. But yeah, we gotta get used to this this time banking mechanic now. Because the seasonal tournament's coming up, and it's gonna matter in that tournament like a lot, because you're gonna, well, those who participate in it are gonna be like thinking really hard every turn, me included. I'm gonna be like roping every turn, and so this time bank thing actually could be rough. Could be rough for me.
Shadow.
All right. We have been, because our opponent has been playing elusive units, it's been hard for us to get a bunch of mushrooms into our opponent's deck. And that kind of happens. I've been playing this deck a while, and I've been, like, you know, 5 games. And I've been noticing that it's kind of hard to connect with Teemo over and over again, even though he's literally always on the field. Just something to keep in mind. I think we're going to open attack
Never know what hit
to
him.
start. Oops. Just like that. Again, if he wants to block my Cursed Keeper, he is more than welcome to. I'm doing this to kind of, I guess we could have played the Chump Wump here and then gone for like a Teemo level up. But I'm afraid of, aha, yeah, see, I'm afraid of things like, well, not this specifically, but I was gonna say things like parlay. We will save the Funsmith, I think. Yeah, we'll save the Funsmith, or try to anyway. Oh, and our life total. Double up is such a bad card. Oh my god, double up is a terrible card.
Carrots can fly, Rib.
Okay, okay. Ow.
Carrots can fly, Rib. Alright, we're gonna drop the assembly bot next to this Chump Wump who's coming down next turn. This assembly bot should start getting pretty big and out of control pretty fast, and we also see a Starlit Seer, which also synergizes with spells. So these mushrooms from the Chump Wump are gonna go a long way. That's what I'm saying. We're gonna get a lot of value, even though they do kind of nothing. They're gonna get some value in our deck.
I rarely forget.
All right, he drops his Gangplank,
Captain on deck.
who is at 3 out of 5, which is already more than I'd like him to be at, and we can't really stop him from connecting with our Nexus here.
I got ways to find me mushroom.
We're gonna drop the Chump Wump. That way, if he goes for our assembly bot, we can protect it. We can buff it. We can also, by going for this Mushroom Cloud, just one, we can block this Young Witch and not lose our Teemo, which is very nice.
Can't spoil the surprise.
Wow, he doesn't attack with Gangplank. That's a mistake. That is a mistake. He should have attacked with Gangplank there. Now, we don't really have anything in our hand that synergizes with Funsmith, except Tri-Beam, I suppose. Even so, I'd like to protect her.
Yes, you.
Ugh. What I don't want to do is let this... Oh, I was going to say let this connect, but we are going to take damage no matter what, so maybe it doesn't matter so much. Oh, this is tough. I don't think our 4-3 is very important. Play one mushroom.
Ooh, quite a collection.
We'll still block. We don't need to take the damage. I mean, we don't need to block the damage, but we want the extra board space, right? Because we're running out. So we'll block there. We'll pass turn right now, see if he wants to do anything. We're gonna get that time back, which is cool. Oh man, my opponent stole a card, which means since I'm running 3 regions and he's running 2 completely different regions, I now have to play around, I was gonna say 5 regions that he could potentially play here. But he played it. He played one already, so I guess we're good. Hey, and we have the answer. Look at that. We have the answer. Oh, this is the glitch. I'm not sure why this happens sometimes, but right now, Teemo's landmark thing is unlocked. Which means if I kill this jailer, the game ends. So if I play this go hard and I kill this jailer right now, the whole game kind of just stops. And it'll end right there. So I guess I can't do that because the game is bugged. But since there's no lock on the landmark here, and I don't know why this happened. I don't know why there's no lock. And I also don't know if it'll revive Teemo next round either. I'm not sure what's gonna go on. But since I can't kill this because it'll just end the game, I'm going to go for Gangplank instead. We're gonna play, I guess we'll start with Sump Dredger and we'll kill this Mushroom Cloud. I'm running out of time. I gotta bank some more time here in a second. We'll start with Sump Dredger. We'll see if we can level up this Tri-Beam. We're gonna have to clear out some space before we go for the Tri-Beam though. But yeah, so I'm gonna test right now to see if this landmark releases Teemo at the start of next round. It might not. I probably should take Curse Keeper out of this deck. He's really hard to use properly. He just takes up space and he doesn't really do much. So this seems like a silly attack, especially since I'm not pulling this. But I need board space, so even if he takes out my Starlit Seer here, or my Assembly Bot or my Funsmith, we kind of have to allow that to happen because we need, well, we don't need to allow all of it to happen, right? We can sacrifice like the Assembly Bot and the Sump Dredger. We'll do that. I'm really running out of time.
Lasso 'em. Taking you in.
I probably should have gone for the Go Hard first, just to buff up Assembly Bot a little bigger before I attacked with him. This is fine though. This is fine. Alright, we're banking a little bit more time now. Like I said, it's super easy to bank the time. Unless you're like playing a really important game. So like, yeah, see there, it's easy. Every single action, every single time you play a card, you're gonna bank time. So it's not a big deal. Oh, he actually notifies this Go Hard. Pretty rude. Which means this Tri-Beam is actually not good enough to kill Gangplank anymore, which is very sad. That's very sad indeed. I'm gonna go for Stalking Shadows. Ooh. I will gladly... I should probably take the Submersible, honestly. Especially since I'm getting an ephemeral copy.
By snow and stars.
Click OK. And from there, we'll end round. Teemo does not come back. Okay, so this game is well and truly glitched because I can never get my Teemo back. If I kill this jailer, the game crashes. The game will freeze. The game will end, and it will just be stuck until one of us surrenders.
Spark and I will keep you safe.
Which is a dang shame. It's a crying shame. I actually have the answer to that, funnily enough. We're gonna play the ephemeral one to stop him from attacking here.
No, no, no.
Their bones will splinter.
But yeah, I'm at a huge disadvantage because for some reason
Bounties decline.
my Teemo is forever jailed. And I'll try it. I'll probably end this game by killing this jailer so I can show you guys the bug. in case like you don't believe me or something. But yeah, that's what's happening, and it's pretty rough.
This will be a good winter.
Alright,
Bilgewater
Inkling
is
levels up.
mine and mine alone.
It's a shame, right? Because what I would do in this situation, what I would love to do in this situation is play this unspeakable horror on the jailer and get Teemo back. That's what I would like to do. That's the play I would make. So we're gonna do it. We're gonna play this Warden Spray.
What does he want from me?
Our opponent may or may not play a card. We'll see. But I'm gonna just kind of end the game now. But yeah, this is definitely the best play I could make in this situation. We're gonna kill the jailer, which should get Teemo back next round. But since Teemo does not have a lock on his landmark, the game's gonna freeze when this dies. Oh well. A game over, I guess. Our opponent... I've seen people emote in this situation, which means our opponent sees it too. We're just stuck. We are just stuck at this point right now because the landmark glitched out. So see if he does anything. Guess not. But yeah, the only thing you can do at this point is surrender or exit the game. Even if we'll wait for time to run out just to show you guys the science behind it. You know, like I've tested this before. The time runs out and nothing happens. You're just done forever. So GG, I guess. Yep, there you go. Hopefully Riot fixes this bug. Hopefully we'll be able to play this game mode in the future because it's really fun and I really like the concept behind it and the gameplay and the deck building concept, but it's buggy. It's pretty buggy. So hopefully you guys enjoyed those games. I've been going for about 40 minutes now, so I think I only got like 2 or 3 games in. It takes a while. Takes a while to play this format for some reason, but yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like down below. Think about subscribing. It helps out the channel more than you might think. I also stream on Twitch every day, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 12 o'clock p.m. That is Pacific Standard Time. Come hang out. We have a great time, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.